need to go up some more. Keep cranking. Whoop. Oh, that's good. Hi friends, welcome in. I got a new Lego set. We have some new Charlotte to watch. Yes, we do. We have some new Charlotte to watch. Some other random shit. And I'm gonna build this new Lego set. Yes! Welcome in.
I've tried weight loss medication before. It got to a point where I couldn't afford my medication.
Cool.
I was so tired.
Today I'll show you how I make my own impression dies or shot lights in stainless steel.
No.
Duh.
I want an X tool.
Just Control Alt Delete your daughter. My girlfriend and I made the trip.
Okay. We have to rewind this.
She took the same elevator every day, but today she remained. Her new path had arrived. Via elevator or by book, who could really say?
Oh my god.
Explore your story.
Have you ever played a game where the more players you kill, the stronger you become? This dark mobile game, known as the Player's Nightmare, will change it.
Entitled parents are angry. I won't babysit 5 out of the 7 days of the week.
Okay. Super Mario. And Yoshi.
Really want me to babysit for free? Probably. This is an entitled
Look,
parent
it's a whole
video.
fucking book.
My female 19, brother and sister-in-law, both 32, moved back into my parents' home last week. They have 4 kids, 1, 3, 4, and 6. So of course, what was a peaceful house has turned into a chaotic mess. Like a literal pigsty. Oink oink. Friday, my brother asked me what my day-to-day schedule was like so they can get an idea of how babysitting would work. Obviously, I went, what the fuck? Because I never agreed to babysitting for anyone. I sat there, dumbfounded, and asked him to elaborate. Apparently, my dad offered to help them with childcare by using me, despite having classes to attend both in person and online. And I worked part-time, and no one cared to check with me to see if it was okay. I flat out said no. I was not babysitting Monday to Friday, and they would have to find some other solution. Yeah, I mean, they're all entitled. Your parents and your brother and your sister-in-law are all entitled. Even if your parents haven't asked you first. Like, nobody asked you. Bold of them to assume that you would be totally available. This upsets sister-in-law, and she starts complaining that I act like I don't love my nieces and nephews because I'm not willing to help them out and take care of them. Again, aunts? My dad started complaining and told my mom to make me agree. Make you agree. Okay. I just got up and finished my dinner in my room because I was not about to deal with them guilt-tripping me. Later, my brother approached me, showed me what was basically a weekly schedule that had the hours they worked and the hours I was expected to look after all the kids. Again, expected. All 4 because the 6-year-old is homeschooling at the moment. To spare the rest of the boring details, I would be on duty from 6 a.m. to 1 p.m., then again from 6 p.m. until 8 p.m. because they wanted special time. Special time. Again, I shut that shit down and I told him they were out of luck because I wasn't doing it. Cue sister-in-law telling my dad I still won't do it, so he came in and started calling me selfish and lazy and said I'll have to come around eventually since they'll be living here for a while. Let me add, my dad doesn't even work. My mom does. Interesting. Dare I say? Do I dare say? Ooh. Dare I say, I feel like there's some internalized, like, you're the girl, you need to do it. I still deal with this in my house. It's so annoying. Like, my little brother just shows up to dinner, doesn't help, doesn't put away dishes, and yet I am expected to set the table because I'm the girl. Have fun. To this day, my mom still thinks that I don't know how to set the table. It's like I'm 36. I know how to set a table. Thank you very much. So, dad doesn't work, my mom does. He sits on his ass all day watching TV, and when she gets home, he doesn't even speak to her until he wants to know what is for dinner. Okay, I know exactly what's going on here. Yeah. Okay, so you're 19, you would be doing this for free, setting aside time, your free time, or time that you would spend going to classes and your job. Like, do you make enough to leave? I wouldn't wanna do that. Especially not for free. So, in an edit, OP said, majority of the comments are telling me to move out and I'm trying. It's kind of hard to move out when the time that you would spend at a job is spent babysitting for free. I'm saving up enough money so I can be set the first few months I'm out. Hopefully I can be moved out by December, maybe sooner. Also adding, my parents do not have my banking info. I closed the account they had access to when I turned 18. And I'm getting a new lock for my door because the one I currently have can be picked easily. And the F load of comments and messages I'm getting, calling me useless, lazy, and selfish because I refuse to babysit because I live at home. I'm genuinely curious, are y'all just a special kind of or just trolls? I refuse to believe that y'all are seriously so bothered by that. Jesus Christ. Okay, I wouldn't be necessarily bothered by it, but like, listen, it's really hard to get me to do anything when you're trying to force me. I don't like authority. I'm a rule follower and a teacher's pet to a certain extent, but if you're trying to force me into doing something and the motivation behind that is like kind of sexist, I'm not doing it. I'm just not. And like, obviously sometimes I get like pushed in a position where it's like generational trauma and it's like, you know, my parents are from a different place and they have different expectations of the woman, especially the eldest daughter, you know, it's like to a certain degree I like sometimes do it, but not at the expense of like my job or my own personal well-being. I feel like it's like the eldest daughter or the daughter expectation to give up everything to help the family in a lot of cultures, okay? A lot. I don't know where your parents are from. It could be just generational expectations, but it's a very real thing that the daughter often deals with. And I fucking hate that shit. I don't like it. I think that maybe you would be willing to babysit if it wasn't like coming from like a place of like they're trying to force you, and like if you don't do it they're calling you selfish. I'm sorry, but if I'm trying to get to somebody to do something for me for free, I don't appeal to them and try to force them. I try to appeal to their like better nature, or like find, you know, a compromise that's like, would it be possible for you to take like, let's say like Thursdays and then I'll do another day? Like, it just sort of sounds like your dad, OP, is just trying to force you to do something when he's at home, doesn't work. I wouldn't want to be pushed into this position either. I've also seen a few comments about getting my mom away. Truth be told, my dad's family would no doubt harass her until there's no tomorrow. I will talk to her about it. She deserves the world and so much more. I'm going to update you all. I promise I'm going to have a super busy week, so if I don't update anytime during the week, I will this weekend. And I don't know who's watching the kids before they move back, but I assume whoever it was stopped watching them because they didn't have the funds anymore, which is why they wanted me to do it for free. Aha. So top comment says, I assume that you drew up a schedule of your father's availability for babysitting and gave it back to them. I mean, that was my question, because it's like, clearly this person is available. Has it been brought up that he's available?
Jerry, get a job.
OP responds, the ironic part is they don't trust him to take care of the two oldest ones. My dad can barely make a sandwich. Anyways, we do have an update. I want to address the main thing everyone's been asking. Would you babysit if they paid you? The answer is no. That would be giving up both my education and my job, only to get paid a lot less than what I'm earning part-time. Okay, fair enough. Anyways, I did what you told me to. I'm making myself as unavailable as possible. I studied more at Starbucks and got a new doorknob with a lock that isn't pickable. That's all worked a bit more in my favor too, so thank you. They, sister-in-law mostly, still continue to bother me to babysit, but I've held my own and kept the same answer. Good for you. You're very young, but I love this boundary setting. I've talked to my friend. Yes, I 1000% trust her to rent an apartment with me, and we might be able to move out by December. If not, then no later than February. But I do have a backup plan in case that doesn't work out. I talked to my mom and told her she should consider moving out. I sent her a link to my previous post, and she will be seeing the comments of this one. She has admitted to talking to her sister about moving in with her since she, my aunt, lost her husband back in January and doesn't like living alone. And if and when my mom moves out, that'll force my dad to get a job and possibly even find a place of his own because none of my mom's side of the family likes my dad. So he more than likely can't live in my aunt's house. Also, I want to add in here, my mom had a family discussion a few days ago. To sum it up, she told them to leave me alone about babysitting and they should start a plan to move out because she was selling the house. I don't know how true that is, to be honest. And quickly onto the subject of my dad, I wouldn't classify it as hate, but a lot of people have tried to put me in my place by telling me I live in his house, I'm spending his money, I eat his food, and that's all wrong. He doesn't provide anything. Interesting. No, he isn't injured. No, it's not depression. There's nothing else to it. He learned that my mom's income alone can cover all of the finances, so he quit his job and hasn't looked back. Again, I have my own job, and my mom and I have been the ones doing everything around the house since I was 13. And some of y'all are truly bothered I wasn't kicked out at 18, and I seriously don't know what to tell you. You know, like, to a certain extent, I understand, you know, your parents, like, give everything to you, and, like, in many families, if you're living at home, the parents are paying for you to live and all of this stuff, but it's like, she's not, like, 30, you know, she's 19, she's going to school, I'm sure that she doesn't have a ton of other options.
Hi, Nico.
And, like, get the fuck out of here with this whole, like, your parents are feeding you. Yeah, that's their job, okay? That's what parents do. It is not your job as a child to do everything that your parents say at the expense of your education. At least that's my opinion. So we have one final update. So we've been going to family therapy, which is sort of useless in my opinion. It always ends in a crap show, but it's nice having someone call everyone out on their BS. Ooh, I bet that's satisfying. My dad is always bitching about being treated poorly because God forbid he has to clean up after himself instead of expecting everyone else to. And my sister-in-law only complains about me and only me, as if my existence causes her everlasting pain and suffering. Then move out. But the therapist shut that down instantly. Ooh, I bet that's very satisfying. She's now limited to 30 minutes in session, and she spends the remaining 40 minutes out of session. On the topic of my sister-in-law, she was fired from her job. She claims her boss and co-workers are racist, but she won't file a complaint for racial discrimination or do anything about it. I only say claim because she's lied several times about being discriminated against. And now almost daily, she's at my job consistently bothering me, trying to pull me away from working, to show me my niece that I see every day, and my boss. All she sees is sister-in-law bringing the kiddos to see auntie and not a woman trying to sabotage my job. But let me share what happened on Halloween. So, a friend of mine threw a Halloween party, and my best friend wanted me to go with her. Of course, I said sure, because that was the first time in a long time I got to go out and have fun. I told my mom I'd probably be home late, because, you know, and all is swell. But my brother didn't like that. Apparently, I should want to spend my Halloween with my nieces and nephews, and not spending it with them meant I didn't love them. Okay. And the whole guilt tripping started the whole week leading up to Halloween. Nephew thinks you don't love him because you don't want to take him trick-or-treating. Okay, so in other words, he doesn't want to take them trick-or-treating and wants you to do it. Niece wants to spend time with you on Halloween. Why is a party more important than they are to you? I really don't like this, like, manipulation. This is, like, full-on manipulation. Like, have they even, like, said any of this? Like, are we sure that the niece and the nephew actually feel this way? This sounds like a tactic to get you to babysit. I'm just saying. Do you not love them? Oh, I hate the guilt tripping. Why are you acting like spending Halloween day with them is such a hassle? I did take some advice from my last post, and instead of going to classes all week, I'm going to have 2 full days of classes. Not only does that take the weight off my shoulders, but I can work more hours so I can leave sooner. I also applied for EBT and hope I get approved because I'll finally be able to buy food my stomach tolerates. And I'll be able to eat breakfast and lunch again. Oh, you poor thing. And the very, very best news for last. Sister-in-law announced she might be pregnant. Yeah, you're gonna need to move out sooner rather than later. You know, it's interesting. A lot of my friends are, like, having kids, and I've noticed that, like, as they have kids, and believe me, I know there's a lot of parents in the comments that, like, you know, everyone always tells me things will change when you have kids and stuff like that, but I have friends that have openly admitted that they've used their kids to like get out of things, to like gain sympathy from other people, because it's like, oh, my kid is sick, I can't come, and no one's gonna question that, right? Of course I believe that having kids, you know, things change and stuff like that, but it's interesting that someone I know has like fully admitted to like using their kids to like guilt trip people and get out of responsibilities. I just find that very funny. I'm probably gonna do this. God, I cannot wait to be pregnant so I can play the victim. The introvert in me is like, so it used to be like during COVID where like you can literally get out of pretty much any obligation because like, sorry, I'm COVID, like I can't, and you like don't have COVID, but I haven't been able to do that for a bit, you know, like I'm like fully able-bodied, totally healthy, totally fine, so if I don't show up, I look like an asshole, right? But then you have the kids, and the kids could be the excuse. I love it. I know this wasn't an am I the a-hole, but you are absolutely not the a-hole. And I'm really proud of you for setting boundaries, because like there's times where I still deal with shit like this, like the eldest daughter expectation for you to take care of everybody. I still deal with shit like that, and the guilt tripping is very prevalent. So, I'm proud of you for setting boundaries, and you're my inspo. And by the way, if you're enjoying this video, then make sure that you subscribe, stay a while, let's hang out. I post every week. And I'd like to have you. Shall we move on? I don't care if you have cancer. My child deserves your seat. I beg your finest pardon. This encounter happened about 7 months ago. EK in the story stands for embarrassed kid, and OG stands for old gentleman, some 60-year-old guy. The kid was very polite and sorry, so this story isn't about him. Also, I'm translating this into English, so bear with me. About a year ago, I was diagnosed with cancer of the nasal cavity, stage 2. The tumor was quite large, but it didn't spread into the other tissue, and it was contained. To get it removed, I first had to undergo aggressive chemotherapy to make it smaller. Thanks to the chemo, I had severe alopecia, hair loss, which made most of my hair and even eyebrows and eyelashes fall out. Oh, Bessie, I'm so sorry. At some point, I had to go bald, but I wore a wig because I don't want to look like a skinhead / can't say that word on YouTube. I'm 6'4" and pretty muscular, so I thought people would assume. So once, after a long chemo session in the hospital, I took the bus home. There's only one bus that goes from the hospital to where I live, so I took that one to see. It was absolutely packed. I felt like shit, thanks to chemo, so I asked a middle-aged dude to let me sit. He was very understanding and gave me his spot without complaining. If you're reading this, thanks, bro. Oh, thanks, bro. Took one for the team. 2 stops later, enter entitled mother. A lovely whale, his words not mine, with an I demand parlay with the CEO haircut, and a 12-some-year-old kid. It took her roughly 5 seconds to see the bus was packed and start looking for a free seat, spot me, and start marching, or in her case, trying to fit in the aisle between the seats while shoving others aside to me. When I saw her, I knew I was screwed. She then stood next to me and decided to talk to me. This is the conversation that followed. Hey, could you let my kid sit down? Oh, sorry, I'm actually on my way home from the hospital, and so are we. My boy just broke his leg and we're coming straight from the ER. Her kid was standing next to her, clearly embarrassed, without any support. Okay, so she lied. No crutch or anything. He's standing next to you completely fine. Look here, boy. My kid deserves to sit down. Look, madam, I just finished a chemo session from the hospital, and I need to sit down and rest. I then moved my wig a bit to let her see my bald head. Entitled mother then ended up yelling in my face. Stop making excuses and get up off that seat, you skinhead. Wow, language in front of the child, too. Dang. At this point, I was baffled. I didn't know what to say. The kid was trying to make his mother stop, and we had the attention of the whole bus. She grabbed me and tried to yank me from the seat. Oh, that's assault. I held on tight and thankfully didn't fall off. Now enter OG, my savior. Will you shut the fuck up, you dumb cow? Who do you think you're talking to? Stop assaulting other passengers or I will be forced to step in. Also, every dumb moron can see that he has cancer. No, he's just a skinhead. He has no eyebrows, you Seems like that really offended entitled mother because she spun around on the spot and threw a falcon punch in OG's face. Oh god. I was shocked and in disbelief. The whole bus was flabbergasted and the kid probably wished he'd never been born. You know you done f***ed up if your own kid is embarrassed of you. OG then said something unbelievable and a golden sweet karma moment followed. Okay, that does it. Harassing passengers on the bus, physical assault against a passenger on the bus, and now assaulting an officer. You're in deep trouble, lady. OG pulled out a badge and told her to stay where she was. He pulled out his phone, called someone, and told her she was being arrested. I couldn't believe it. OG was a bloody cop. At this point, EM was white as a wall. The bus had come to a stop, so she decided she'd make a run for it. But other passengers blocked her way. She also got charged with resisting arrest thanks to this. 3 stops later, a police car was waiting for EM and EK. EK told me he was sorry for his mother's behavior, and I felt really sorry for the kid. He wasn't a bad kid, but his mother was a hellspawn. OG then talked to me and asked me if I wanted to press charges, to which I gladly said yes. Took a statement and thankfully was kind enough to let me solve everything on the phone, so I didn't have to come to the police station for questioning. In the end, entitled mother got some jail time. I think it was a few months. And some community service. I, in return, got a good story to tell and the sweet taste of instant karma. Right now, I'm riding the same bus home as I just got back from the hospital after a checkup, which reminded me of this. A friend who's sitting next to me told me I should post here. He, as much as myself, also couldn't believe that such people existed, but it seemed I proved it to him. I should also note that the surgery went well, and I was declared cancer-free in November, and my hair is slowly returning. Also, I don't need to wear a wig anymore. Yay! I'm so happy to hear this. Wow, that is like the best example of instant karma I think I've ever experienced. Not experienced, you know what I mean. Congratulations, OP, for becoming cancer-free. There are, in fact, people like that out there. I kind of feel bad for her kid. Like, really bad for her kid. Entitled mother ends my engagement and gets me banned from a steakhouse all in one night. Goodie. I can finally air my uncensored frustration about the night my engagement was single-handedly corrupted by my entitled mother-in-law. Let's call her Ellen, because she always reminded me of Ellen DeGeneres, even before the recent news broke. So, my girlfriend and I were really engaged to be engaged. We both agreed we wanted to get married, but hadn't done the formal proposal yet because we wanted to meet each other's families first. Neither lived nearby. I always thought the old trope about meeting in-laws being a big fiasco was a myth, both because I was younger and more naive then, but because I'm lucky to have easy parents. No, it's fully a thing. Honestly, I would consider yourself lucky if you end up with good in-laws. I consider myself very lucky. I love my in-laws. All of them. But I feel like half the drama I hear about from my friends has to do with their in-laws. Just gives you an idea. My girlfriend met them for a few hours. Once we were alone, just me and them, I told them my intentions and my mom asked, does she have any kids already? And my dad asked, does she have a good solid job? And they both asked, you really love her? And that was that. I had their full support for the marriage. I thought meeting her parents would be the same. Some grilling was to be expected, but as long as I was honest and respectful, it would all be fine. Yeah, definitely grilling is expected, especially if they haven't met you yet, and this is the first time, and you're going to be telling them that you're engaged, or you're asking their permission. Grilling's definitely expected, especially, like, with, like, a girl, you know? Like, I feel like people are a lot more protective of, like, their daughters than their sons. Just saying. Protective, borderline controlling. Just saying. Relevant fact, they had my girlfriend when they were teenagers by surprise, so now had a do-over daughter. Their words, not mine, who was just 6 years old. A do-over daughter. What does that mean? Do-over? That kind of sounds like they wanted like to do it again because the first one fucked up. Just control, alt, delete your daughter. My girlfriend and I made the trip up to their city and I met them for the first time over dinner at a steakhouse. It was pretty upscale and we scheduled the dinner for 8 p.m. so I was surprised to see they brought the kid along with them. I met everyone at once and the initial awkwardness settled once we sat down. We were making great small talk when the 6-year-old said she was thirsty. No big deal, right? Well, all of a sudden, Ellen starts screaming, "Water! Water!" I beg your friend's pardon? She screamed in a fancy restaurant. feel my heart rate like rising. My blood pressure is like, eh! A waiter came rushing over to see what the commotion was, and without making eye contact with the poor guy, Ellen went, "We've been here forever, and no one has even gotten us any water. My daughter has been asking." Okay, yeah, that's not, like, even if no one's giving you water, we don't yell in a fancy restaurant. We don't yell in general, okay? Like, tone it down, babes. We had been sitting for about 15 or 20 minutes without service, but they were visibly behind, and there were no circumstances that warranted that shouting. I agree. I should have realized from how unfazed everyone else at the table was that I should be bracing myself for a long night, but I couldn't imagine what was to come at that point. The waiter rushed over with water and apologized for the delay, explaining a few very large parties had arrived all at once. The guy seemed sincere and quite affable, so I thought the water would just be an anomaly in an otherwise pleasant night. Then Ellen kicked into full gear. Was this before we came up with the term Karen? I feel like this predates Karen. So we're using Ellen. "We need a kids menu," she informed the waiter. Okay. This isn't Olive Garden. He said they don't have a kids menu, but the chef could simplify most dishes. "What do you mean you don't have a kids menu?" Ella replied in total disbelief, as though he said they didn't have a fire exit. He explained they don't get too many child visitors, and there were enough plain foods on the menu that no separate menu had ever been necessary. Ellen sighed dramatically and waved him away.
Hi.
For a limited time, step into a universe where even more immersive fandom comes alive.
New
at
Lego
Universal
set!
Fanfest Nights. Discover new experiences
Isn't
featuring
this?
the best of sci-fi, fantasy, gaming, and anime. Get your tickets now at UniversalStudiosHollywood.com. Select nights.
And it's a whole ass, like, novel.
Take
Look
your
at this.
business from launch
This
to
is the book.
legendary. with
Literally
Shopify.
book.
Sell more with the
whole
world's
fucking
best converting checkout and turn
Yeah.
analytics into opportunities
Book.
so you can scale further.
Are you trying to feed your dog better but stuck between overpriced fresh food and low quality kibble? Hi, I'm Dr. Stephanie.
No. I finished the other one. Oops. I couldn't help it.
Side eye. Literally, without saying a word, waved him off from the table. Ugh, disgusting. I hate that shit. I tried to give him an apologetic glance, but understandably, he didn't look back our way. I was so glad the poor guy left and didn't have to be subjected to her anymore. I said this before and I'll say it again. How you treat people in the service industry tells me everything I need to know about you. Meanwhile, she turned her attention on me, and I almost wish he'd come back. At least he was getting paid to be there. She was like, "So, you're a screenwriter." Oh God, I already know where this is going. Oh, so that's like, you do that full time? Is that like your full-time job? Is that like, do you like make money doing that? Oh God, I still get it, like even to this day. It's so funny because like I would literally go to like a creator summit where like people in the industry are all like gassing me up and telling me that I'm like a big and then the next week I'll go to a wedding and people are like, "Oh, sorry, so you like, what do? You like make money doing that?" "Yeah, I do, yeah." Anyways, the point is, I can relate. I explained, well, yes and no, I want to be, but it's hard to get a job in that field that you can support yourself on. So I'm working at a nonprofit right now. There's a screenwriting component to the job, so I'm really happy there. Ellen turned to her 6-year-old and went, "Hear that, hun? You want to be sure to snag a man who works for profit. Learn from this, it's not too late for you." I couldn't tell if she was trying to be funny or not. That was a backhanded compliment. You're saying you work for a not-for-profit, and she's saying you don't make any money. Hence, you should get a man. She's telling her do-over daughter that she should get a man that is for profit. Yeah, it was like very passive-aggressive. So I just let it pass, looking over to my girlfriend to see if she was even considering speaking up on my behalf. Nope.
My advice, take off.
The waiter came back, visibly nervous. Oh, God. Here's the thing. I've been in situations before where, like, you know, people have been like, so, like, do you give Mike an allowance? Literally. Just to set the record straight. No, I do not give Mike an allowance. Mike makes his own money. But in situations like that, I just say, actually, Mike is a very talented cinematographer, and I don't say the exact amount, but, like, I might flash the watch he bought me. And so I'll work it into the conversation at some point. But you see, what I'm trying to say is in a situation like that, where someone is trying to, like, not only, like, hurt my husband or my boyfriend or whatever, but it's also insulting to me. She's insulting OP, but she's also insulting her daughter by saying she doesn't know how to pick a man that makes money, and her do-over daughter should do a better job. So it's not only, like, it gets me heated because, like, not only are you insulting my husband, but you're insulting my choice of partner. So if somebody says something like that, like, I'm not the type of person to, like, rub it in people's faces, but if you're gonna go out here and, like, insult my husband and my choice of a husband, then I'm gonna put you in your place. Glad that's settled. Allowance. I don't love that she didn't stick up for you. That would really bother me too. The waiter came back, visibly nervous. That hurt because he was so relaxed and personable at the start of the meal. He asked if we would like to hear the specials before we ordered, and Ellen said sure. Here's how that went. First, we have a lightly stripped steak. Next! Oh, okay. Well, then we have a boiled leg of grass-fed. Next! We have pasta primavera mixed with. Next! Oh God, what about everybody else? Like, I want to know what it's mixed with. what's the pasta primavera mixed with? Oh God. On and on, he'd done that until he'd gone through all 7 or 10 specials, even though she ultimately ordered off the menu, plain ribeye, well done. She tried to order the daughter the same, but the kid just said she wanted plain mashed potatoes, so Ellen let her get mashed potatoes alone for dinner. Then she sent the waiter away. Oh, God. The rest of us hadn't even ordered yet, and everyone else sat there like it was entirely normal. Wait, hold on. I thought you were saying thank you. I didn't realize she sent the waiter away before you ordered. Oh, God. Please, spare me. Yes, no, jail immediately.
No trial, no nothing.
Engagement off. I waited for someone to say something, thinking it was more her older daughter, my girlfriend's place, or her husband's, but when no one did, I couldn't help myself. Was the steak and potatoes going to be for all of us, or my girlfriend explained in the tone you'd use for a tourist violating a sacred local taboo. My mom always has the waiter put the kids' food in first, so it can get started right away. We'll order once the kitchen has hers. Actually, my mom always puts in the food for the kid first. Oh, okay. Sorry to insult your culture. Damn, okay. Excuse me, sorry. I thought she was joking. Since Ellen didn't just order her kids' food, she also ordered her own dinner too. That is a good point. So I laughed. Something funny? Ellen asked. Then I realized she was serious, and I shut up. Thankfully, her dad at least recognized that what was normal for them might not be as regular to me, and I tried to lighten the mood with a change of topic. But not even 10 minutes after we'd ordered, I guess technically 5 minutes after we'd ordered, 10 minutes after she and her daughter had ordered, Ellen started in again. Another table that had been there long before we were got a side order of mashed potatoes with their meal. Ellen threw a total conniption.
I can't watch this anymore.
Conniption is a good word. Love a good conniption. Let me Google that for those that don't know what a conniption is. I also. A fit of rage or hysterics. I'm gonna throw a conniption over this story. It's crazy. She was sputtering so inaudibly that none of us could figure out what was wrong at first. Finally, she managed to flag down some busboy who barely spoke any English and began laying into him like he just sideswiped her on the freeway. He kept trying to explain he wasn't a server and he could go get one, but she wouldn't stop to breathe long enough for him to find someone who could actually help. This is why people need to work in the service industry, because it's like sometimes it's like these people are runners, they're not servers, you know? Sometimes they're busboys, sometimes they're hostesses. They can't actually help you, nor put in your food. All the while, I kept looking at my girlfriend for signs of embarrassment, or at the very least irritation, but you wouldn't have known if she was hearing any of this. She ever acted like this around you? Oh, God. Our waiter came over, somehow still feigning a smile, despite knowing what he was walking into, and Ellen actually goes, "Why did that table get mashed potatoes and ours hasn't come yet?" My goodness. The waiter kindly but concisely explained, "Well, ma'am, those people ordered potatoes before your party had placed their order." Ellen looked at this man dead in the eye, finally, and says, Well, it doesn't matter when they ordered it. My daughter is the youngest one here. Her food should come out first. Oh my god, like actually stop. I'm so embarrassed. I feel like she's doing all this to get rid of you, maybe. No, but like, ugh, if your fiance is not even flinching, this is normal in their family. You could tell the waiter was working hard to restrain himself at this point. He explained it was a first come, first served policy and age didn't help one way or another. He offered to go check on the potatoes. Ellen agreed, or more specifically she said, yeah, you better. But I was clocking him and he went right back to his server station because we only had just ordered a few minutes ago. Dude, I'd kick her out. Like, I'd kick her. What the actual heck is wrong with you? Like, how embarrassing. 3 or 5 more minutes passed, during which we could have no other discussion at the table except how awful this restaurant was, how hungry the poor baby was, who, by the way, hasn't said a word about being hungry this whole time, and was contentedly playing her loud iPad game without headphones, disturbing all the other diners around us, and how America has lost all respect for motherhood because it's just a me culture now. Interesting. Lost all respect for motherhood. What about all respect for, like, the service industry? I'm sorry, but, like, we cannot walk into an establishment and expect that you're going to be served before other people because you have a child. Like, that is so entitled. I don't think that there was ever that entitlement. What do you mean? You being a mother and having a child doesn't make you better than other people. I'm just saying. I have all respect for mothers, and truthfully, I think it's one of the most selfless things that you can do, but it doesn't give you the right to treat others like, to walk around entitled like this, like everybody has to like bend to your will because you have a child. Like, what do you mean? So weird. I chimed in, I'm with you on the last part, and to my utter shock, instead of laughing at my joke, my girlfriend seemed annoyed with me. Oh, brother. After a few minutes, the waiter comes back and says the potatoes will be out very soon. Ellen then goes and does something that, again, I thought was just a myth. She took 3 singles and a 5 out of her wallet and put them on the table in full view of the waiter. She then took 1 single away and said, every table I see getting potatoes before us is a bill gone.
Let the game begin.
Oh my god, an $8 tip? Wow. Like, wow, dude, that is so whacked up. That is disgusting. I'm sorry, but holy... I was absolutely mortified. The waiter, to his unending credit, just took a deep breath and said, I don't have control over the order in which the kitchen fires tickets, but what I can tell you is it should be out any minute, and left without saying anything disparaging. This is called the manager time. Call the manager! I'll call the manager. I've been holding my tongue all night as well, in the name of my relationship, but once the tip hit the table, the $8 tip for a 100+ bill on top of all else, I figured if my girlfriend was half the woman I thought she was, then she wouldn't mind my speaking up at this point. If anything, she'd be supportive, right? So I scooted my chair back a bit and said, listen, I know what you're doing with the cash on the table, but that kind of thing makes me really uncomfortable and it's not called for. Please put the money away or we can continue this some other time. My girlfriend's dad spits back, what? How cheap do you have to be to not believe in tipping service workers? Before I could process whether he was serious or yanking my chain, Ellen shocked me with, no, you know what, you're right, this isn't necessary. Well, no, she's saying that she's not going to give him a tip. She's not saying that, oh, this like whole display of like very demeaning behavior. I should have known better than to be relieved. She folded the bills back into her wallet, patiently waited for the next plate of mashed potatoes to be carried out. And when it wasn't delivered to us, it was a very common side dish at this place, a steakhouse. She went right up to a stranger's table and picked it up off their table. Oh, this is so trashy. Oh, wow. Wow, dude. She half explained something about her daughter starving to death as she was walking away with the stranger's food, but unsurprisingly, that wasn't convincing enough for them. Starving to death and yet you're at a fancy restaurant? Like, I'm sorry, no. The old lady, she took it, followed her right over to the table and tried to take it back, as she should. I was already searching for my coat tag in preparation to go, but a shoving match match was beginning to unfold between Ellen and an elderly woman with a tennis ball walker, and far be it for me to sit through all of that, had happened only to leave just as the night was getting interesting. The elderly woman was like, "Give me back my potatoes, who are you?" And the poor little girl was like, "Mommy, it's okay, don't take someone else's potatoes." Wow, imagine having a daughter with better manners than you and she's 6 years old. It all fell on deaf ears. Ellen yelled at the old lady, "How could you sit there and eat these when my daughter hasn't even been served yet? She's sitting here hungry, just a little girl, and you're over there stuffing your face? Come on, other potatoes will be out any minute." Dude, I'm so embarrassed. Like, I'm embarrassed even reading this. I literally needed to take a break in the middle of the story. Like, this is crazy. The old woman got to love her, was like, "Great, if they'll be out any minute, then what's the f***ing problem?" To which Ellen, still found holier than thou, gasping, "Language, please." Finally, the waiter, and this time someone higher up as well, I think the manager, thank God, came over to separate them as they had begun to raise their voices and cause a disturbance. Staff had already asked Ellen to turn her daughter's iPad down multiple times without heed, and I'm guessing the waiter informed management about the tip on the table stunt she pulled, because this was their final straw. They told us we were going to have to leave the restaurant. Finally. But we don't even have our food yet, Ellen complained at the guy. This was clearly not the manager's first rodeo. "You can take the food that's already been served free of charge. Everything else will be canceled. Please leave immediately." This is what people don't seem to understand. Like, people seem to think that, like, you can walk into, like, a retail establishment or a restaurant and, like, everyone there is gonna bend to your will and make you happy, and, like, they take advantage of that, like, sense of power. Like, these are private establishments. They don't owe you anything. Like, literally nothing. I'll be damned if I ever have to deal, like, literally speak to someone like this, let alone be humiliated and have to serve them as part of my job. Fuck that. Like, no way. The old lady didn't miss her chance to knock the potatoes right onto the floor so we couldn't try to take them with us. Nothing else had been served yet, so we had to leave without any food. When my girlfriend and I were finally alone in our car, she said, "Can you believe that?" And I said, "Not at all. And I really can't believe you didn't warn me." And she went, "How could I have known about any of that?" And confused, I asked, "Is she not usually like that?" Even more confused than me, my girlfriend asked, "Who? Your mom? What's my mom got to do with the terrible service at that place?" I don't care if it's terrible service. I really, really don't. There is no world in which you should ever behave this way in a restaurant, in front, like, in general. Like, is she okay? Are people okay? That was the beginning of the end of our relationship. The fact that she didn't see anything wrong with her mom's behavior and that I'd be marrying into that I said it like, I'm sorry, I just about said situation, and I'm gonna not correct myself. And that shook me too deep. We both dodged a bullet in more ways than one. In hindsight, we weren't right for each other, regardless of who her family was. Her mom saved us both a lot of time and heartache, helping me realize in one night what could have possibly taken us years otherwise. Within a month, we moved into separate apartments and got on a break that ended up lasting forever. I'm not sorry I won't see you again, Ellen. I'm sorry any waitstaff ever will, though. I am relieved that that shit show is over. Like, I'm not even kidding. How is it possible that people, like, I'm just so far removed from any of that. Like, I've never experienced someone behaving that way. I've seen people, like, snap their fingers at waiters before, and that was, like, I was even, like, 10 years old when I saw someone do that. And I found that so incredibly rude, like, and embarrassing. Like, I was embarrassed to be sitting with them. To the point where I actually got up and, like, left. I don't understand how you could go through life and think that this is okay behavior. OP clarified in the comments that he's never seen a side of her personality, and they were friends before they were romantically involved. I don't know, man. Like, even if that's not behavior she personally would have showed, she thinks it's okay. Her mother is probably so controlling that, like, this is normal for her. I wouldn't be surprised if she would turn out this way as well. God, imagine when you have kids. Like, imagine how she'll behave. Maybe she hasn't behaved this way because she doesn't have any kids. Maybe she will change when she has kids. Just saying. We're having a 6th kid we can't afford, so we expect you to give us your college fund.
Dunkin's $6 meal deal. Get a medium coffee, 6 crispy hash browns, and a bacon, egg, and cheese for $6.
Herbal essences. It's a scent we won't forget.
Taxes with Jason Updates. Now Taxes is a TurboTax expert, doing it all for you. So you can chase this feeling. Now this is Taxes. Intuit TurboTax.
World's first 60-watt mocha laser paired with a 40-watt blue diode. It cuts, engraves, colors, and
Yes,
bosses.
I will get an X tool. Shut up. Oh.
I, female 19, am my parents' second child. I have 3 brothers, 21, 13, and 7, and a sister, 16.
Lemon juice.
We grew up poor and our parents were often dependent on financial help from relatives, friends, etc. for raising us. This is because even though my dad has a mediocre job and my mom doesn't work, they just kept on popping out one kid after another. Okay. At that point, wrap it up. Wrap it up. My parents are very religious and believe that children are a gift from God. Personally, I think that's total BS. My parents' reproductive choices wouldn't bother me if it hadn't caused mine and my siblings' lives to turn to crap. While growing up, we never had new clothes or toys. We had to accept handouts from family members who were better off. We never went out or did anything fun. To top it all off, we were well aware that the rest of the family looked down on us for constantly asking for handouts. Oh, jeez. I can't. Brutal. Can't even imagine. You know, it happens in life, but I do definitely believe, at least for myself, that I wanted to be like totally financially stable to be able to give my kids a good life before I wanted to have kids. Like, it was a big motivation of mine to like want to like make something of myself. Obviously, life doesn't work out that way for some people, but like certainly would not have 6 kids if I couldn't even afford one. Now, my older brother and I have managed to get into good colleges and are looking forward to a future that wouldn't be better without our parents' lives. He and I were staying at our parents' place for a while due to the lockdown. One morning, my parents called all 5 of us into the living room. Mom said she had great news. The smile that was forming on my face had quick when she said, "We're pregnant." How old is your mom? Dang, she's got some really fresh eggs. This is why when I hear that, like, oh, you're gonna get older and like not be able to have kids, this person literally has like grown adult children and she's still getting pregnant. I'm sorry. Oh, God. Okay, I lost my temper. I asked them how they could be so and irresponsible. Do they not have enough financial troubles already that they have to bring in another mouth to feed? My older brother tried to calm me down, but I was livid. After a lifetime of scarcity because of my parents' stupidity, they still hadn't learned their lesson. I asked them how they planned to provide for the kid. My dad told me I would have to give up the money our great uncle had left me. Oh, would you? Would you have to do that? I mean, legally you don't. Just saying. He left all 5 of us some money, which we could only access when we turned 18. Yeah, only you can access that, probably. That's the way wills work. I said, hell no. That money would help me pay for my college expenses. He called me selfish for not being there for family. Why is it that you're the only one that has to be there for others? Why aren't they being there for you? They're, like, literally at the cost of your education and a better life? I told them if they couldn't provide for the kid, they should get an A-word. My mom started crying and called me a heartless monster. Dad told me he was disgusted with me. I told him there was no way I was going to pay for their stupidity, and the only thing I would be willing to pay for is a termination. Whoa. What I was really worried about was my siblings' lives getting even worse. My older brother and I have escaped our parents' clutches, but the others, especially my younger sister, will be expected to help take care of this baby. No teenager deserves to have their adolescence ruined by diapers and a screaming baby. I know what it's like, and I had to go through that. It was expected of me to be an unpaid nanny to my younger brothers and sister. My older brother could go out with his friends and have fun, but I had to stay home and help give baths and feed the toddlers. Remember what I said about the daughter thing? Yeah. I decided to get some family members involved so they could talk some sense into my parents. I called my mom's maternal cousin. She's one of my favorite people. When I told her that my mom and dad were having another kid, she reacted with, "What? Again?" I told her everything and how they expected me to hand over my inheritance, and she said she was going to speak to my parents and told me not to sign over anything. I promised her I wouldn't. Of course I won't. Yeah, I mean, you don't have to do shit. Like, you literally don't. I also called 2 of my first cousins, one of whom is an accountant, so she could explain to my parents how much of a financial liability this baby's going to be, and try to convince them to either give it up for adoption. I moved out of my parents' home a few days ago. I was only going to stay there until the lockdown was relaxed. But I can't just bear to listen to my mom's nagging about how this baby is a blessing and that I want to keep it. I moved into a friend's basement for minimal rent. My mom's cousin paid them a visit about a week ago and tried to tell them they weren't doing this child any favors by bringing it into a life of poverty. My mom was very rude to my aunt and told her, "A woman who chose to remain barren will never understand a mother's love."
Oh, hell
Can I just
no.
point out, just quickly, the swinging contest that women have when it comes to motherhood? I just, like, I can't even. Like, I don't even know if I'm going to be sharing that much if and when that happens for me. I cannot, like, the swinging, like, motherhood, like, you just, like, you don't have a, like, everything else doesn't matter, and you don't have a purpose until you have a kid. Like, this kind of, like, holier than thou mentality that, like, mothers have. Okay, being a mother is an amazing thing. I have nothing but respect for mothers, genuinely. But when you're going to throw it in people's faces and say that you're better than other people because you're a mother, like, being a mother does not make you better than other people. Like, we're all equal. Okay, I hate that. And, like, it's just such a thing how, like, you'll clock it now. Like, you see it on social media a lot where, like, people who choose to share their children on social media, like, everybody seems to have an opinion about, like, what a better mom would do and what a better parent would do. And, like, maybe I've even shared some opinions on that. Truly. But, like, oh, man. It really is like a swinging contest for women, isn't it? The unsolicited advice has to go. My dad told her to get out. Aunt told me there was nothing she could do, but she did try. I didn't blame her. The cousin tried to explain the economic impact this kid would have, and my mom cried about how everyone was trying to take her baby away. Okay. The intervention didn't do. So now I've decided to cut contact with my parents. I can't watch my family slide further and further into a hellhole. I'll be maintaining contact with my sister, 16 years old, to make sure my parents can't brainwash her. My older brother is going to stay in touch with all of them, which is a good thing, as he can't act as a link between me and the other siblings if my parents ever forbid them from talking to me. Otherwise, I'm done with these people. I'm really relieved that, like, your parents can't take away your inheritance, and I'm glad that you have that. That sounds like a really tough situation to be in. But guys, we're not done yet. There is an update. Yesterday afternoon, I got a call from my older brother. He told me that my mom has miscarried. Oh, this is hardly surprising as she's in her 40s. Okay, noted. Wow, she had her kids so young. I felt a huge wave of relief wash over me. My siblings' lives would not be worsened by my parents' insistence on adding another mouth to feed on an already tight budget. My sister would not be asked to give up her inheritance so they could have money for their new baby. Thank goodness. Seriously, wow. I firmly, and listen, maybe this is me swinging my, but I firmly believe that, like, you know, and this is, I think, why women are having kids, like, later and later in life. You know, it's taking, like, cost of living is insanely expensive. Divorce rates are crazy. What if we end up being single mothers? You know what I mean? So, like, it makes sense that women are having babies, like, later and later and later in life, because it's like, we need to be able to take care of these kids. I'm going to leave my politics out of this, but just, yeah, I feel like they're also taking advantage of the system because they have kids and they probably get, like, benefits for each kid. But anyways, my mother told me my mom had been crying for a while, and I did feel bad for her. Yeah, I mean, that's why it's like, I'm not celebrating that she had a miscarriage. That's obviously terrible and not an easy thing to go through for anyone. I was still glad to hear about the miscarriage. I feel like we all dodged a huge bullet. Bro asked me to move back in for a while to help comfort my mom.
Arisa,
I told him I wasn't going to move in because one,
Dee Dee.
my college would reopen in a few days, and two, I'm done with all the family drama. However, I did agree to come visit my mom, if only out of courtesy. That's good. Regardless of how you feel, like, a miscarriage is obviously something that you do need to support.